Welcome everybody to the Forever Bristol City podcast. It certainly was the cup that cheers, because at Ashton Gate it finished yesterday, Saturday. Finished City 5, Watford 1. I'm delighted to be joined by Neil Sutton, Dave Tovey, and a welcome return to the podcast. First time in a long while is Paul Binning, the exiled Robin. Paul, I'll begin with you. How did you feel walking away from Ashton Gate at 5-5 last night?
Well, I think it was impossible to fill anything.
It wasn't 5-5. What am I talking
impossible to fill anything, but positive and happy, wasn't it? It was a great evening. I just thought we were excellent from maybe 20 minutes in. I thought we were absolutely on top of them. We took them apart to a level that they just folded. I thought second half they folded under the pressure we were putting them under. And we were pretty clinical with what we did. And I said a few weeks ago, I felt a hammering was coming. We hammered Portsmouth, but that was as much down to their inadequacies as our positivity, I felt, that day. And as good as we were, it wasn't quite the scintillating performance I was kind of anticipating and expecting from City. But yesterday, for me, was exactly that. It was just really, really, really good to see.
Yeah, Paul, we were feeling a little bit down after defeat against Preston. And Dave, the next game at Oxford United, all the good work of going into the fourth round is undone if we don't come back there with anything. But, it was good to see another 5 goals hit the back of the net. And I guess you feel, watching it from afar, you felt pretty positive come the final whistle.
When it flows, it flows. We know what the highs of this team, we know just what they're capable of, and they're more than capable of putting 2, 3, 4 away in certain games. I felt like in that respect, I learned something I already knew. Boers was a fantastic performance. Morsy was something that I think anybody can identify. He played well yesterday, but when you're a fan of that kind of position, just sitting in front of the back line, just, basically dominating the play, controlling the speed of thought in the game, it was a fantastic introduction from him as a starting debut, shall we say. But there are bigger challenges to come. I felt like our side was stronger than Watford yesterday, and it showed. It's very, very promising. But to me, the real key to this performance is what happens when we face that roadblock like a Preston going forward. And that's where the real key is. It was promising yesterday, but it needs to be built on going forward in the league.
Okay. Neil, your thoughts at
You're going to come up with the time. It's not 7:30 either, but keep going. I think with yesterday, there's an element of it's almost like Sheffield United first game of the season. When it clicks, it can click. I mean, we scored 5 goals from seven shots on target, and we can be clinical and we can be effective. We just need to have that consistency. And when you're playing chaos ball in Struber's sort of mind, when it does click, it's fantastic to watch. But there's the games now that you have to actually sort of, take that game and say, look, this is what we were doing at the start of the season. And we got certain games.
Against Portsmouth.
And against Portsmouth, but Portsmouth were desperately poor, weren't they?
Yeah.
But in relation to it, but I think with, there's too many games at home in particular where we haven't been at that same level. And you get to that level. I think Morsy made a huge difference yesterday, actually, enabling us to get to that level. But you set your standards again. Don't go to Oxford next week and
come away with nothing
and drop off, because cup game, fantastic. Use it as a springboard. But for us at the moment, it's 2 games, 2 wins, and then a loss. And then another loss, and then 2 wins, and then a loss, and then another loss.
But that's a point and a half a game, looking at it on that basis.
It is, and it
just needs a slight increase.
It's really strange. You sort of look at last night, and you look at, as I say, 5 goals from 7 shots on target, and clinical, and Reece was on it, and other players are on it. And you're thinking, do you need some more forward options? Do you need some more strikers?
We'll talk about the window.
Do you need all this stuff?
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah.
You really, really do, because...
Well, but you need quality, not quantity. But we'll come on to that in a minute. Let's get into the team news. Paul, it was an appearance for Joe Lumley in goal. Was that the only unexpected starting 11 selection for you?
I expected it, to be honest. I thought he'd play that. I think modern managers seem to have a tendency to play their number twos in cup matches. Partly to keep them a little bit happy, I guess, if they're sitting on the bench all season, partly just to see what they've got in case you need them. I think yesterday's lineup was probably quite hard to predict for anyone. I think we knew there would be 3 or 4 changes. It was just picking which 3 or 4 changes they were going to be. But yeah, I think we went strong, didn't we? And I think what yesterday started to show was we actually have got a little bit more depth suddenly with Earthy and Morsy arriving and a couple of injuries back. We've got a little bit more depth in certain areas, but we can make a couple of changes, still look strong in the first team, but also have some real good quality on the bench, and I think that showed up yesterday. But no, I wasn't entirely surprised with anything in the lineup. I thought it was sensible. It was good that Sam Bell got a chance to play with a change of rules, because I think we assumed that he wouldn't be able to, but that's changed this year in the FA Cup. So great for him to get his chance too, and good to see Morsy starting as well. And yeah, as he showed, he was well worth his spot.
Yeah, Dave, Harry Cornick on the bench. What's the point?
There isn't a point, is there? There really isn't a point. And to be honest with you, yesterday's starting lineup was stronger than I expected it to be. I didn't expect it to be that level of strength. I thought there might be a few academy players sprinkled in there. And it's true, when it comes to Cornick, to answer your question, the only way I can say it is that there really isn't a point right now. But as soon as I saw the lineup, it was like, okay, this is a real message. If you remembered last year for the third round game against Wolves, it was felt as though the team had kind of surrendered before it started. That wasn't the case yesterday. And when I heard Struber in the week saying that he was planning on going for a strong lineup, I thought it was an element of bluff, to be honest. But he was pretty much true to his word, because I looked at the side and that's pretty strong.
Neil?
I mean, to drop Randall to the bench, yeah, I mean, arguably the player of the season, really. It
maybe he needed a rest.
Yeah. No, it gave Morsy a full game, and it gave an opportunity to the manager to see what Morsy's like over 90 minutes, rather than coming on with 30 minutes left or something like that in the game. So you learned a little bit more about it, and introducing Earthy, because Earthy went to play for Struber before as well, so that gave the opportunity there in relation to it. I mean, it's the same thing with Roberts, isn't it? For all your Cornick, putting Roberts on the bench, really, for 1 or 2 minutes, really? But now Pring's back from injury. I don't see the point of Roberts being on the bench either, really.
No.
In the same regard as Cornick. But I suppose you have to keep these players around the first team, so when you try and ship them off on loans or permanent, then you can demonstrate that they are part of the first team setup rather than sitting in the under 21s or something.
Paul, Watford made changes before we get into the goals. I thought, and they almost equalised after our first goal, I thought they were very pacey on the ball. They looked more comfortable, very, well, I said quick, pacey, but good footwork. And they made about half a dozen changes from their team, because they're on a bit of a run at the moment in the league, aren't they, Watford?
Yeah, they are. They've been in good form. I must admit, it's a squad I don't know a huge amount about, bar 2 or 3 players. I don't sort of keep a close eye on them, but they did make. I thought they were really strong. I was actually, even coming into half time, I thought we were a little bit fortunate to be where we were, because I thought they had a really good first half an hour. Their forwards were. I did look a couple of them up, and there were a couple who had come via Udinese, which is obviously their partner club in Italy. But yeah, Loser's been I'm not sure how you say his surname. I think it's how you say it. He's been a great signing for them. He's been fantastic this season. He was doing a little bit early on, but they were strong. They reminded me early on a little bit of Middlesbrough. I just thought quick forwards, lots of movement, lots of pace.
But didn't test Lumley in the City goal at all.
No, they fluffed a couple, didn't they? One had a Sinclair Armstrong moment, didn't he, and completely missed his shot when he probably should have shot and scored. But no, they were a little bit erratic, maybe probably the word. When they got actually into the area, they didn't quite have that composure to get a shot away. Yeah,
Neil and I were just looking at the form there. In their last 7 games, going back to Watford at Vicarage Road, they won 5 and drawn 2. So that's why they've shot up the table.
They've beaten Birmingham, Norwich, Leicester, Stoke, Norwich twice, actually.
Norwich twice, yeah. Well, that's no big.
And drawn away at Wrexham, which is
these days.
Fantastic
Quite a feat.
results. Yeah, quite a feat.
And just so everybody knows this anyway, but the FA Cup fourth round, the weekend of that, we were due to play Wrexham, but obviously we won't be playing them, so that'll be a game under the lights at some point later in the season. Let's get into the goal action. Dave, 1 minute 40 seconds on the clock, and it was a good opening goal, wasn't it? How did you take us through it as you saw it?
It's Borges doing Borges things. He is a weapon that we have out wide, and quite often with Mehmeti, people are critical of the way he cuts inside because it's obvious, etc. But when you have Borges there providing that kind of option as your width, you're always going to pose a threat. And when you have the type of run that Reece makes round the back, the secret to that cross is the fact that it's not just put in a good area, it is clipped, it's placed, it's with precision. Yeah. It is a wonderful cross that creates the goal. But it's the kind of goal that can be scored when you've got a centre forward like Reece, who's basically an expert at that kind of cross. You know, he knows the run to make, and he gives the defender no chance.
Yeah, Neil. I mean, Danny Harris has said on here, Borges the most consistent crosser at the game at the moment. He made I think third or fourth goal as well. But that was great to get that early advantage. And somebody said to me at half time, when the team does go one in front, it seems that very rarely do teams recover from that, or it's exception rather than the rule. But it was a great start to the game, and Reece was in the right place at the right time, wasn't he?
Fantastic ball, just hung it up for him, and he really didn't have to do that much. Actually, he had all the time in the world just to sort of guide it back to the keeper's coming across to cover his left-hand post, and he could see the ball was. I mean, there was a floater, but there was no pressure on Reece at all, was there? I mean, I think they were still in the dressing room. Watford, the first 5 minutes, they were just away with the fairies, really, in relation to it. And they know that we're going to start. They know that we're going to start quickly. Really, most teams, decent teams, when they come down the gate, they know our strengths. Whereas Watford yesterday, the way they were playing was almost like a little bit, we'll work through this, and obviously we'll come to after the goal the chances that in Semedo in particular had. But they started really, really poorly. But a fantastic cross yet again by Borges. Yeah.
Somebody said on OTIB, there's a little thread called Body Language, and when they came out, they were 2-0 down at half time, and we came sprinting out and we're taking our positions early. There's the term up for the cut. Do you think they just weren't? And once they were 2-0 down, they're thinking, we're going in for the playoffs. We want to maintain our league form.
I think looking at their starting lineup yesterday, there were about half a dozen changes. The bench was a lot stronger. A lot of their starters were on the bench. And you kind of, what I sensed from their body language was an element of, oh, God, yeah. But not to worry, because we're not going to be in the first team next week anyway, and the starters are going to be in. So there was almost a bit of a challenge by the manager for them to get back in the game at 2-0, but knowing that realistically, the first half has probably written them out of actually being in the league side again.
Yeah. Paul, they, as I said a moment ago, they almost equalised straight after. I think it was Vivallo shot the ball over. Got a lucky deflection off of Dickie's knee, but we had to wait about 35 minutes for the second goal, and that was a great team goal, wasn't it? I mean, the key thing for me in that was right back in our own half, the little dummy that Knight did.
No, fantastic goal. I think I sensed just for the 5 minutes before that we'd started to take control of it a little bit. I think Watford, after the first 2 or 3 minutes, started strongly. I really felt that was a sign where Morsy was really starting to take control. You saw him directing play, you saw him pointing players around. And what he really did, I think, with that goal is he released Jason Knight to basically play where he wanted to. Jason Knight was starting to roam a little bit, slightly right-sided. Got him and Vino were linking nicely. And yeah, it was just that there was a play, I think, about a minute before when Knight charged forward into some space and it didn't come to anything. But it was just a really nice, lovely goal, and I'm sure Struber was delighted with it because it's probably all the things he talked about in terms of movement and players moving into different positions. The other thing Morsy had done is just started to play a little slide rule pass. I think there was about 3 yesterday where none of them quite came off, but he was playing this little slide rule pass in behind the back line, and and that was almost what happened with Reece. It wasn't Morsy, it was Knight, I think, who played it through to him. But it's just interesting again. is Reece maybe more suited to that sort of play? And will we see a better Reece now? We've got someone like that maybe trying that sort of ball rather than just lumping it forward and lumping it down the line for him to try and.
Well, he's not got the pace to get to the long ball, has he? At the end of the day,
not really. No, but he's got that sharp, clever movement of moving behind, and we're doing it. But how good is it from Reece as well? He's already scored a goal. He's a striker who wants to score. To have that awareness to just knock it across the goal and make it an easy tap in for Anis. I think that very few were expecting that to happen.
Yeah, because he could have blasted it, and it was wholly unselfish. Yeah, and
absolutely.
That's something that Mehmeti should do himself a little bit more. Is when he gets in a good position, taking the final touch and lay it off. Dave, that was a well-crafted goal, unselfish by Reece. But I watched it again this morning. The way Knight lets the ball run behind and then takes the return pass. That's front foot flowing football that we've been promised, and that was there in abundance, wasn't it?
The point with Knight there is that you have to accept there's an element of risk when you do that. If it goes wrong, then obviously you leave yourself open, but you buy into that risk, because when you see goals like that, that's what you go to football for, because that is entertainment. That is a joy. That is something being done that is above anything. That's imagination. In addition to that, what you're seeing, as Paul touched on, is when Jason Knight is asked to do a different role. A lot of people have commented on Jason Knight's not the same this season. Some of that is true, that he's not necessarily hitting the same heights, but it's also the fact that he's being asked to do a different role. He's not being asked to run everywhere to maraud. That's more on Randall's side. Knight's the one that's you sit more in front, push when you can, but restrict yourself slightly. When the shackles came off with Knight yesterday, we've shown just what he can do. Personally, I would like to see more of that, and there are some really interesting selection dilemmas going forward about how do you get the three of them together, which two are the best to go forward, and it's a real positive thing to see Jason Knight doing something like that yesterday, because it does bring that element of chaos, because it unlocks the door. If you're just passing, teams are generally comfortable. When you do something that throws everything off, instantly, bang, 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 before you know it, the ball's in the back of the net.
Do you agree with that view?
Yeah,
Neil? And Knight going forward, do you think players now know that they haven't got if you've got strength on the bench, you're not thinking, if you're starting, I've got to pace myself through 90 minutes. So therefore, I'm going to hold a little bit back. Yeah, and as Dave just said, Knight, he did show bursts of energy. I still don't think he's the player he was last season or prior to the injury, to be honest. But take up on those points.
We lost Paul.
Oh, no, he's just gone dark.
He's got very dark.
Carry on.
For me, yesterday as well, one of the things we haven't touched on, Zach Viner playing as right wing back.
Yeah.
What a versatile player Zach is, really.
Yeah.
Centre back, centre midfield, right wing back as well.
Left-sided.
Left-sided centre back, right-sided centre back. He's played all three positions as centre back, centre midfield, and now right wing back. So he's played 5 positions this season already. Viner in relation. Would
you be happy next week, Neil, if he's playing in that position for Macquarie after the ban? Do you think would you be happy with him there?
I like Sykes there. So it all depends whether Sykes is back. For Oxford, there was a little bit in the week about he may be fit enough, but my reading of it, he may be fit enough for the bench. But I think Zach...
I thought
Zach at right wing back actually was a better option than Tanner out there, I think.
He's better going forward than Tanner, I think.
Yeah. So I was just saying, Paul, I don't know whether you heard, that's 5 different positions Viner's played this season there. Just shows his versatility, doesn't it?
Funny enough, with about 10 minutes left, we had a little joke and suggested he should have gone up front because he hadn't played there yet. But yeah, he can do that, can't he? I think it's a bit strange to see him lining up there, but I'd say it makes some sense. Maybe I think Tanner is a better defend. Well, he's better in that position. Sorry, Tanner.
Yeah.
Than Viner is, and Zach's got a little bit more pace and a little bit more to him going forward, hasn't he? Than Tanner's got. So it probably does make some more sense. And I guess if it's 3 games, it's 3 games, isn't it? It's an option for us to have there, and it saves slotting someone like an Earthy back there, which you don't really want to do, and lose his effectiveness.
Yeah. Let's talk about. I'd say it's 2-0 at half time. Let's talk about Morsy. We've touched on it already. Nick Summers said Sam Morsy, pure class, Skull legacy. For me, Morsy freed up freed up Knight as Morsy with no ear. I made that mistake in a couple of postings that I've done. Paul, you can see why he was so great for Ipswich, but prior to Ipswich, he had a fairly inconsequential career. Was it Wigan and Barnsley and nothing like that? I mean, we berate the recruitment team for some of their errors of judgment, but what an inspired signing he is. Somebody else has put on here. He's an up-rated version of Matty James, who didn't play for Wrexham yesterday. But how did Morsy come here from the Middle East?
Yeah, but I don't know that one. I don't know if there's anyone with any connections. I think Joe Williams played with him at Wigan, so whether there's a little link there, I'm not sure. He's a player who, funnily enough, in League One, in a WhatsApp group I'm on, there's a group of guys who did a little bit of work scouting for City years and years ago, and they actually put Morsy forward in 2012, which was quite a long time ago. But he had a funny career, but I think was always one of those players that was maybe underrated when he was in that League One level. I thought he was tremendous yesterday. As Dave said at the start, it remains to be seen whether he can be as effective in harder games, in different sorts of games. When teams are sitting back, it's a bit different. But he just absolutely ran the show yesterday. I thought he took control of that midfield area. He tucked up Loser whenever he needed to defensively, but just was literally directing play. He reminded me a little bit early on of Neil Kilkenny with all his pointing, but he was a lot more effective than Neil Kilkenny ever was.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I called him in the headline. In the headline for this podcast, I called him. Don't know who that is phoning me. Go away. In the headline for this podcast, I called him the conductor.
Yeah, what commented on.
Well, I mean, Dave, he just made it look easy, didn't he?
He reminded me in some ways of Paul Hartley, just when he came in, the way he just fit into the side so easily. And it was like, some players take a bit of time to adapt. How often do we hear this guy needs time to adapt to the way the manager wants to play? He just came in and said, well, I play like this and I'm going to adapt to how you want, but I'm going to play my game. It was just such a natural fit. And if there is such a thing as purring when you're watching a player play, that was it for me yesterday. It was just like, wow, this is a stunning performance, but it was so easy for him. It was just classy all the way through. Yeah. And it looks like a fantastic pickup, but it's an excellent selection dilemma to have, because he really put his name forward as like, I'm not just here to make the odd 20-minute cameo. It's, I want my place in this side. And there are some really interesting dilemmas there.
Well, I mean, 76 appearances for Ipswich in the last 2 seasons, which was promotion, and 33 games in the Premier League. Yeah, he's 34. He didn't expand energy. I particularly noticed it late on when the game was well won, but he was just stood in the centre circle. He even had time and showed the commitment for a bit of afters with one of their players as well. I mean, Neil, a player like him could be the difference between getting into the playoffs and not, because he's got the experience. He's been there and he's done it. He's not got the effusiveness of Knight, and he's got more guile than Randall. Let's be fair, Randall's a good player, but what an acquisition.
Yeah, as Paul said, Morsy's been around for years and years. I remember seeing him play for Chesterfield back in the day as well. He did. He always stood out for Chesterfield, and then he had about four years at Wigan. And then up until the 2020 season, so what's that? He's still getting into his late 20s there. Yeah. He's been in lower division. And I think people, whether there's a data-led thing towards 5-6 years ago, but Middlesbrough then pick him up. It's a bit of a leap from Wigan up to Middlesbrough. You wouldn't expect a jump for a player in their late 20s to suddenly go into the Championship. And then 4 seasons of Ipswich, and they absolutely love the guy. I mean, to be playing a 33-year-old last year in the Premiership 33 times.
Yeah.
In that, given how much money Ipswich actually spent.
Well, Mark Ashton spent.
Well, trying to stay in that division. And they were replacing people left, right and centre, weren't they? And building that squad. Yeah. Yet they still relied on Morsy a hell of a lot last
Nick Summers has made a good point here, and I'll bring this up as well with Paul and Dave. I mean, Nick Summers says, I hope they take action for the Watford player who spat in Morsy's face, which obviously prompted it. I wondered whether there was a little bit of edge from previously. Utterly disgusting. Should be a 3-game ban. I seem to recall Famara Diju being stitched up because he allegedly spat at Birmingham players. Yeah, we've had our fair share of retrospective punishments incurred on us by the FA. Do you think there's a case to answer there?
All depends whether it's caught on camera.
Well, I don't recall Diju's bit being caught on camera against Birmingham. That was just what the Birmingham players said.
I know.
Disgusting.
Did he get about 5-game ban for that or something?
I don't know.
It wasn't just a 3-game.
No, Paul, do you recall the Diju?
Yeah.
It was against Birmingham. It certainly wasn't on television. He got banned. It was the start of the season, so it was their word again. The game was at the end of March because my granddaughter was a mascot on the day. It was at the end of March, and the ban started at the beginning of the following season, if my memory serves me correctly. But that's disgusting. Spitting is worse than punching, in my view.
Well, yeah, I didn't see that happen. I must admit, I saw the aftermath very clearly, and it was actually quite an amusing last 2 or 3 minutes. I was worried Morsy was going to get sent off because he was really, really raging. I thought it was quite interesting. The referee went straight to that player at the end and basically shielded him from Morsy because he knew it was something was going to go on. It was still going on in the centre circle afterwards. But yeah, whatever happened, it must have been something fairly serious to enrage a player at the end of a game where you just won 5-1 like that and being comfortable all the way through. But yeah, if it's seen, it absolutely should be. And I assume if it did happen, which was it Nick said it, he saw it happen. I assume Morsy will report that, and then I assume the club will put some sort of.
Well, we should, because if it takes, I don't know if it was a key player for Watford, but if it weakens their team for 3 games, their arrival, why not? Dave, your thoughts on the matter and spitting? I mean, Tom from Robin's Nest, he's agreed with me. Spitting at someone's face is worse than giving them a whack. Your views on that, Dave?
Well, to me, it is. I mean, spitting at someone is a pretty vile thing to do. It's not something I've seen, to be honest, but you could see it full time. Morsy was not happy about something. So whatever's going on, regardless if it impacts Watford's side, the player himself, it should just be reported and it should be dealt with.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if that happens. Anyway, into the second half, and on 58 minutes, we had triple substitution, Neil. Knight, Mehmeti and Bell going off. I commented that Bell's spell at Wickham looked like he's done his game good, but Dave Fevs has already said on OTIB in response to that, Bell displaying why he's not a first-team player, that he lacks football intelligence. But those substitutions and the timing, it was early doors, wasn't it? It wasn't like 65 minutes or even 70.
No, he did a similar thing with the Portsmouth game, didn't he? When we were 3-0 up, and then we did a triple substitution there around about 56 or something like that, I think, in relation to. So I think with it, bring Mehmeti off all the time. To look on Mehmeti again, he's like, "Oh, just please let me out here, let me out here." No, we don't need to do it. I mean, Bell, he gets into the positions and there is just that lack of quality, isn't there? The final ball, whatever, the decision making, whatever. And there was that chance that he had just to lay it on for Mehmeti, and he didn't do it. And you know, as a manager, that was a 2-0, obviously, to make a third. And as a manager, you'd be looking at that and thinking, well, if Watford go up the other end and go 2-1 after you've just missed a simple pass like that to make it 3, then you know. So Bell, for me, you know, he was doing well in League One, and he's still a league.
If Bell's the answer,
that's his
if
level.
Bell's the answer, what's the question type of thing?
Yeah. I mean, he came into the side yesterday for Twine, and you've got to be thinking that if Twine isn't going to be playing now, Earthy's going to be in that position. So I don't see that Bell is going to be getting huge amounts of minutes.
You know, what's going to happen when Max Bird comes up? More of that later. Where are we? Substitutions. Paul, the timing of them, who they were, and what have you. I mean, if you look at it, it shows the depth, doesn't it? Knight, Mehmeti and Bell going off. Arguably stronger 3 coming on as a collective, Randall, Twine and Earthy.
Yeah. If anything, I was only just a little bit surprised we didn't take Reece off, because I assumed that would be a natural thing to do as well, to save his legs at that point. But I'm glad we didn't. Yeah, I think on Bell, I think he is what he is now. He's going to be, you know, sort of second reserve, number 10, isn't he? And if we get an injury there or suspension, he's going to be the one who can come on for 20 minutes. But I guess to a certain extent, he's our player. We're not going to benefit from him being on loan now, because assuming we're not going to renew a contract. So why not have him here as that cover, sitting on a bench? He may as well sit there more than a Cornick or a Roberts, you know, in that sense, because he can have more of an impact on the game. But yeah, it was strong, and it's nice to do. And without pandering back to a season, it's nice to have a manager who feels he can make 3 changes at that stage of a game and not worry too much about it, and changing game positively as well. Because we did, and I think those players came on really knowing they had a chance to make an impact on the game and show what they're worth. I heard Reece interviewed afterwards. It was quite interesting how he said he was annoyed at not starting last week. So it's good that he feels that. I know he should feel that.
Yeah.
It's good that he does feel that and wants to be starting every match and feels that he should be starting every match, and presumably had a point to prove yesterday that he is number 1 striker ahead of Sinclair, and that's where he wants to stay. And I guess you're going to have the same with Mehmeti and with Twine, with Earthy coming in now. There's a real competition.
They want to play. You mentioned Earthy there, and I'll ask Dave the same question and about the substitutes. But Paul, Earthy, some people said lazy recruitment, arguably known quantity, hasn't played much football. On a personal level, I thought he played well yesterday, and people are saying he will benefit under Struber ball rather than Manning ball because he was always shackled. But very briefly, Earthy, good player to bring in on loan to the end of the season?
I'll be honest, I was a little bit meh about it. I didn't really see we needed him, but having seen yesterday and thinking about the cover, I thought yesterday was his best game for us. I thought that was better than anything we saw last year in half an hour, 40 minutes, 35 minutes. And you can definitely see how his movement and his energy and his quick touches and quick work will benefit under Struber versus maybe Manning. And I think we don't quite know how much did Liam Manning tell them to keep possession over anything last year, and how much did that just hinder the likes of a Twine and a Mehmeti, even who didn't play the second half of the season, and Earthy, who weren't maybe having that freedom to truly do what they want to do going forward. Yeah, it could be a very nice little signing. Yeah,
Dave, pick up on that point, starting with Earthy. I mean, lazy recruitment or playing it safe?
It's a little bit of both, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, you're thinking that you've had like 4 months to go look for players, and you go for the one you already know. And when you asked me about an option a few weeks ago between Morsy and Earthy, I went for Morsy, but things have evolved. Stokes is no longer here. We're lacking options in those 10 positions. It makes sense. And I have to say, as a slow burner, if I was Twine, I would be worried, and I would know I have to seriously up my game. Because if I don't, in 2, 3, 4 weeks' time, it's perfectly conceivable in the biggest games, in the biggest moments, Earthy starts over Twine. You could see it in the cameo. The little bit that he adds, it is the little bit that's missing from Twine's game at the moment. And it's not hard to see that happening going forward.
Yeah. Well, Danny Harris says that Earthy was good. Close control, neat 1-2s, passing in tight areas. I'll stick with you, Dave, for the third goal, because Twine had got that cracking free kick up at Vicarage Road in the league fixture, and we got that position out on the touchline in front of Lower Lansdowne. Good free kick by Twine, and Atkinson showing his value in the box.
Well, this is the thing for me. So you make these 2 subs. You've got Earthy there. Twine knows that, okay, this is essentially, this is my competitor. We all want the best for the squad, but every footballer wants what's best for themselves at the same time. He knows he has to make an impact. This is not just I'm coming on to see out this game. And he delivers a whipped cross that we haven't seen too many of those types of crosses this season. We know that he's an excellent goal scorer, and you expect it around the penalty box. But a whipped cross at speed, he makes the goalkeeper look silly because there's nothing else the keeper can do. The defenders are not able to defend it. The goalkeeper is just hoping he can get there because the delivery is world class.
Yeah, world class delivery. Interesting. Mike Jones, Neil says, no, not Mike Jones. Well, Mike Jones says, good ball carrier, Earthy. Twine, Dave's saying that his position could be under threat if he doesn't up his game a little bit, and he does score goals. He hasn't had a free kick for a few weeks, but what were your thoughts?
David, just to say, it's not that Twine has been poor. It's just Earthy was offering something extra that sometimes is missing a little bit.
Yeah, Neil.
I think the thing that gets me with Twine is his consistency with his crossing. Sometimes there's an element of laziness, I think, with him on the pitch. When he puts a cross in like he did for Atkinson for that goal, that should be the benchmark. That should be that's what you should be doing. The corner, against Borough that he whipped in, Atkinson scored again, and you'd like whip it in. That should be your level. And too often his level drops on free kicks and corners and
it's not
and
that it's
crossing
just that
into the ball.
it's like turning the heat up on the gas, isn't it? You know, you just sort of or with my shower adjustment in the morning on the heat, you just need that little touch. And maybe it is the competition that we've been craving. The other lads have alluded to it with Reece and Armstrong and wanting to start.
Well, as you know, I'm director of football at one of the local teams.
I'm honoured to be sat next to you.
No. The point I was going to make is in the team, there are certain players that need to play at 90 or 100%. We're doing okay this season, top of the league. And inside that, there's players that need to play at 90%, 100% of place to play at that level. And there's other players that can play at 60 or 70% and play at that level. So
and that's Morsy, because didn't expand energy, makes the game look easy.
So with Twine in the Championship, I just feel that Twine doesn't have a lot of pace, doesn't have a lot of physicality. So he needs to be at the 90, 100%. He needs to be playing to the top of his ability to actually shine at
unless he gets a free kick, which is a dead ball static situation.
So, but with the crosses and the free kicks and the corners and his general passing sometimes, you see elements of quality from him, but it's not the consistency. But when he does a cross in, like for Atkinson yesterday, fantastic ball for Atkinson. And Atkinson he's fantastic. When he attacks that ball, and he just comes through, doesn't he? He's a proper brickhead.
Yeah.
The way he throws himself at the ball as well. And he's brave. He is brave throwing himself in those situations. And there's not too many in the division that actually do it. And the corners, Twine can do it. He's just frustrating. He's just frustrating in a way.
Neil, would you have Twine or Annis on more set pieces then? Because I think there's probably been more of Mehmeti than I'd have expected with Twine in the team.
Mehmeti hits that beautiful cross with the outside of his right foot sometimes. It just hovers, doesn't it? I remember he set one up for Atkinson a few years ago at the back post as well, when he comes flying through sort of head first in the way that he does. I would still go with Twine.
And I was saying this, I'd consider Borge from the left side as well. I consider him maybe one that's a little bit further out, but he can just sort of loop in towards that back post area like he does.
I mean, there was a fantastic, I can't remember, first half, the Dickey miss. Who crossed that? Was that Borge?
Might be.
It was from the left, and Dickey missed from about 3 yards out, didn't he? Somehow.
I think it might have been.
That was Borge again. I think, we may never get to the stage where we see McNally, Dickey and Atkinson on the pitch together, unfortunately. But in terms of what a three that would be at set pieces, the way the three of them collectively attack the ball.
But isn't it funny as well how much better Atkinson is than Dickey? I mean, they're basically the same height.
Do you know what, Paul? I agree with you. There. Dickey is the one for me that if there's one that needs to look over his shoulder, even with the way George Tanner's playing, Dickey does look a bit ponderous. Although late on in the game, in front of the Dolman, down by the corner flag, one of their blokes was flying, and he did a perfectly timed tackle there. So I'll retract that comment.
Paul, Paul's right though. It's funny. Like Dickey's like the centerpiece of defending, the one that challenges for the headers, and yet in the opposition box, it's Atkinson that poses the main threat. Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox that you don't necessarily expect.
I mean, Atkinson's got better timing on it. He just seems to make that run. Yeah.
Let's just pick up on a couple of comments on the text feed here. Lee Church has said Tinian would have put Earthy forward, not Struber's asking for him. Struber will have his own list of players he's worked with and knows well. Somebody said earlier that we signed Earthy, but I think it was Roger Tully. We signed Earthy because we didn't want to let the fans down because we haven't got the striker in yet. I don't believe it, that actually. And then Jammer Hammer says here, I think we should sign Borges permanently. Quick round the panel here. Straight yes or no answer. Dave, sign Borges in the summer, yes or no? Straight answer on that. Yes. Yeah. Neil? Borges? I'll take that as a no. Paul?
I think it depends what division we're in. I think it depends who else might be available.
Well, we're not going to get relegated, so...
I still,
let's be an optimist.
My first choice is Pring in that position over Borges, but I see what Borges gives and his crossing. It's just defensively, I don't
Yeah,
think he's great. And he runs through treacle as well. He hasn't got the sort of the pace. And I've seen too many games where he's done fantastically well in some games, and in other games he's struggled. So I haven't seen a level of consistency from Borges to actually come out now halfway through the season and say, I definitely would sign.
You haven't seen the level. Sorry, Dave.
Just to offer the case for the defence, or Boris, shall I say? I think he's the number one left wing back at the club, because Struber often likes to go through the middle of teams, and he offers an ability to cross the ball that is essential. And when we talk about Cam Pring, we talk about a left winger that doesn't exist today, right now.
Yeah. Well,
Pring Borges offers something that no one else on the left-hand side does, and he's getting better and better with it. Think about how often you see that sharp pass cross along the floor into the box. Yesterday, both goals, and we'll come to the second one, were different types of crossing. I think we severely underrate him. I get what Paul's saying about if there is a promotion involved, it's a bit of a different conversation. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but in terms of where we are right now, for me, it's an absolute signing next season.
Yeah, if there's a promotion, neither of them are right. I mean, Neil, we haven't seen Pring's been back after injury enough time. We're not seeing the best of Cam Pring yet. I know he's played in different positions, but has he lost a yard of pace, or what's your impressions on Pring post-injury?
I think Pring needs, I remember Pring from years ago, he needs a good set of games to get up to speed. He's not a player that can drop in and within 1 or 2 games get up at speed. And he's been in and out, really, in relation to it, and getting, a little bit, and he can look a little bit rusty at the moment. I mean, I still think against Preston, he would be a better option at left centre-back rather than a left wing-back. Really, because then it just exposes Borges' defensive failings a little bit. Really, Pring is a good cover at left centre back as well. Yeah. But maybe that's me. Just I like Cam Pring, so maybe that's my confirmation bias, isn't it?
Paul,
we want to play a flat back 4 potentially, which we can do maybe with Morsy there now. Pring might be a better option at left back than left wing back. He is better defensively. I think he's stronger there. He can slot into that left. I really didn't understand the Preston sub at all. I didn't get why he didn't play that role, but we've got cover there.
That's the beauty of it, and Sykes can play there. You can play there as well. Jacoby says Pring looked good, just needs to dust the rust off. There's a limit to how long you give a player to dust the rust off. If you look again, I'm coming back to Morsy. You look at Morsy, he's not had a pre-season of note if he's been playing out in the Middle East. He's come in, he's trained with us for a few weeks, but he's operating at that A+ level.
I think wing backs nowadays,
it's a more energetic position,
it's the most on the pitch, isn't it?
Yeah. But we've got enough. But we've got enough that you can say to Pring, "Well, we want to see the real you for an hour." Then you can come off.
Yeah.
Because we've got 5 substitutions. Let's get into the third goal, which came 2 minutes after the fourth goal that came 2 minutes after the third. Dave, I'll start with you on this. Joe Lumley came in goal. That's almost counts as an assist, but it was bang, bang, bang in the back of the net.
Well, was it you that described it as Route 2 football? Did that come from you? I saw somebody on X describe it as Route 2 football, and I felt like it was very appropriate. Yeah. It's the kind of keeper pass assist that you see in the Premier League quite often. The board's touch to bring it down, an instant clipped cross, nice touch from Reece, dink over the top or dink to the side goal. It was quick, it was effective, and it was entertaining. Again, it's the kind of football you want to see. You want to see that element of a ball is on, take the opportunity, see if it works or not. And in this case, it was all reward with no risk, because if the keeper's pass doesn't go well, you don't lose anything from it.
No, Neil, that was an intended kick to where it was. I mean, we go back, Frankie Fielding's kicking was an absolute joke towards the end of his time here. Max isn't great at it. Vitek has brought some sense of purpose, but that was an assist out to the wing.
That was an Alex Scott assister back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah. Nice little tap in from him yesterday.
Yeah. But I wasn't expecting Lumley to do that.
No.
I mean, Lumley can be a bit ponderous at the best of times, can't he? But I wasn't expecting it from Lumley, but it just shows again, these players, they can do it. It just needs to be the consistency at the end of the day. Lovely control by Borges as well.
Yeah, and another one of those low crosses. Paul, your thoughts on the goal? And Lumley, who got a booking late on as well, didn't he?
What I loved about the goal was when we scored, Rob Atkinson ran half the length of the pitch to go and congratulate Lumley. He just jogged back and gave him a hug.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic ball. I've seen some people saying how Lumley's kicking is better than Max and Vitek, and maybe it is. I think my concern with him is he's slower to get out of his feet. So yes, he did that yesterday in a load of space, and it was a great ball. But once or twice, even yesterday, he was sort of caught a little bit slow, a little bit on it, and I think that would be his undoing if he played too regularly. But yeah, fantastic ball. Borge again, a lovely bit of quality to take it down, and a lovely clip ball in. I can't remember where I was watching. Was it Match for Day last night? I can't remember where I watched it. Talked about the quality of a ball in and how as a striker's dream to have a ball like that come in. I can't remember where I saw that now, but it was just a perfect little paced.
And Paul, we haven't had you on for a while. People were saying that Reece wasn't hitting the heights that he did. I'll call it the first half dozen games or so. Was he carrying an injury? I mean, is he? He's not a quick player, Reece, but with those three, come the end of the season, in all competitions, assuming maybe he gets a couple of goals in the next round, he is going to be between 15 and 20 goals this season, isn't he, Reece? So it's an inspired signing.
Sorry, I think I lost you there. I'm not sure if I'm.
Oh, no, we can still hear you, Paul. Carry on talking. You'll just be in the dark. Carry on, Paul.
Yeah, no, I think Reece has had an off couple of months. I think if you look at a grand scale of a season, I expected him to score 13, 14, 15 goals. He's well on track for that. He's not going to score every week. He's not that sort of striker. But it was more as general player. I felt in the last couple of months that Sinclair had moved at least alongside him in terms of general performing. Maybe was carrying a bit of an injury. I don't know. But again, like any striker, it is also sometimes who's around you, isn't it? It's who you can connect with and who you can link up with. And yeah, maybe we saw a bit yesterday. He's just had some different players around him than he has been used to, and it showed. But Watford played a very high line as well, and it suited him because he was able to run in just behind and have that chance and the opportunity. And we're finding him with those runs, which we haven't always done as well. But he's a good signing. He's solid. He's going to be solid number one choice striker, if not.
Dave, Tom or Robin's desk he's put up there. The Leicester second half performance for him showed it was a matter of desire for Reece. It gets back to what Neil was saying as well about upping the game a little bit. He's a good signing, probably ends on 15 goals. Talk of a new signing is pushing him in Tom's opinion. Do you concur with that view?
Desire is an interesting word. What I would say is a bit like the side, is that when it flows, it flows. When he's on, he's on. The issue with Reece is not the days that he does it. It's the days that when he's not, what's your next option? Armstrong provides many, many things. Goals isn't one of them. And as you said earlier on, right, it's like we're scoring lots of goals. We scored 5 against Portsmouth. Do we need a striker? We do for the days when it isn't working for Reece because we have no second option. Look at the midfield. Look at the attacking midfield now. Look at the defence. There are options everywhere. The possibilities are endless with possible formations. It doesn't change the fact that at the moment, when it's not flowing for Reece, we don't have anybody else that can actually score a sufficient amount of goals in a centre-forward position. And games like Preston will keep happening until that's addressed. Reece is perfectly capable of being our striker. What is it now? 7 goals in the league, added on with that hat-trick. That's double figures already for the season.
Yeah.
When he's flowing, it's not the problem. It's on his off days, which you can recognise pretty quickly. 45 minutes, 50 minutes, on the hour. We need that magic player that is missing right now.
Yeah. Neil, Reece talked about desire and things like that. But again, it comes back. This is the same old Bristol City thing of collecting players because we've got an injured Fally Mayulu. We've got Armstrong, we've got Bell, we've got Cornick, yeah, and we're talking about bringing another one in, yeah. No mention of any youngsters. Ollie Thomas has been offered a new contract, but surely it's sufficient to have Reece, another, and Ollie Thomas. You've got probably 30 grand a week in wages that is just not going to feature.
Well, it's not like the Lee Johnson clubs in the bag scenarios. We're not talking about a first team squad that's at 35 players or anything like that. But Reece, that was his first goal since Borough. And it was his, before that, he'd gone 6 games with only that Borough goal.
Mm.
So for all his excellent play yesterday, he hasn't been great. No. He hasn't been great for the 6 games beforehand, really, innit? And then going back to after the Preston game when we were saying about we were like the 4th highest scorers and how are we
4th highest scorers, 4th highest, but 4th best defence.
Yeah. So we had the most clean sheets with the 4th highest scorers, and then you're like, right, okay, well surely we would be in and around 3rd or 4th in the division then, and we're not. We're looking at it and we're down in 10th. And why is that? It's at critical times where, and Struber is obviously acutely aware of this, it's at critical times where it's not working out for Reece. And we've got a plan A with Reece. What is the plan otherwise? And we've dropped, particularly at home, we've dropped too many points this already.
Yeah.
And if we're going to do anything for the rest of the season, we need a couple more options in the striker area.
What's curious is that sometimes data can show that how you feel is like not necessarily true, but at the same time it has a point. Because when we go behind in games, we're actually, I think it's like top 6 in the league, or 6th place, should I say, in collecting points once we fall behind. We do as well as anybody else in the Championship in doing it. It's not just a Bristol City thing, but it still doesn't change from the fact that it feels like something is missing to be better in that area. Because when we get a lead, I'm really confident that we will go on and win the game because we're generally good at that. It's when we fall behind that seems to be on the off days. It's not about the on days. Finding that little piece of magic is going to get you a goal or two. And I'm not talking a fox in the box. I'm talking someone that brings extra things as well, but also knows where the goal is. We don't have enough centre forwards in that category.
No, but we've got too many fringe players that aren't that good enough.
And as Neil said, it's not about, they're not clubs in the bag. They are goal clubs that are no longer used. They don't add anything to the squad. And there's, Fowley, Cornick, right now they're not bringing anything.
On the text feed, Mike Jones asked, when was the last time we scored a hat-trick in the FA Cup? Somebody answered it to me, and Sider77's answered it. Phil Jevons was the last time we scored a hat-trick in the FA Cup, and that was in January 2006, apparently.
Did he pick him up, Gary Johnson from Yeovil?
I think he did, Phil Jevons, yeah. Yeah.
All
right, it's always nice to keep a clean sheet, Paul, but we didn't, and Iran Kunda finally got a decent cross in. I mean, they threatened to do that on numerous occasions, and it finally came off for them with their consolation goal, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's hard when it's 5-0 up, isn't it? But it was a little bit worrying how easily they sliced through the right-hand side. I need to look back at it to see where it sort of really came from, but they just seemed to go through very easily. We didn't seem to get a tackle in. I don't know if that's just to say 5-0 in the 90th minute, whether you don't want to pick up a yellow card or don't want to risk anything. But yeah, it was a shame for the team. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much, does it? It's one of those things. Lumley will be disappointed, I guess. He'll be the main one who'll be really disappointed having come into a team and not being able to keep that clean sheet.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a save to make the whole game, Lumley, did he? For all Watford's fancy play.
A slightly different take on the goal in that it was 4-0. My stream dropped and then it was 4-1, so I didn't see it. And then this morning when I went to watch the highlights of the game, all 5 City goals were there, but the Watford goal wasn't. So I have no idea what happened.
All right.
So it's really useful.
Neil.
I thought Irakunda was the best player yesterday. I think for a 19-year-old, they bought him from Bayern Munich. I think is he an Australian international? I think he's an Australian international. He was quick out there and he was direct, and he's one of those players that you just feel that because he's not come from the Udinese background or whatever like that, he's not going to be staying very long at Watford. I remember when Esse played for Millwall down there, so we got over the line the 4-3. We were all watching him that day and thinking, well, Esse's not going to be there for much longer. And of course, Palace went out and bought him, didn't they? Although they've loaned him to Coventry now.
Coventry have got him as if they needed him.
Yeah, but the thing to do, what we haven't done in the past, is when you're at the top, you strengthen. Whereas we've never done that over the years, have we? We've taken it for granted. Okay, we've got in this position. Let's see if we can manage on what we've got, rather than actually times to strengthen. Commentary have gone out, and I think they're bringing a few others as well, and they will go again with another 2 or 3.
Yeah. We're talking about consistency in the division. We should be 4th and what have you. But I looked at the league table and the form, and there's no team in the top 5. The top 10, or down as far as we are, that has won more than 3 of their last 6 games. Some have won. Or maybe no.
Ipswich.
Sorry. Nobody's having a really consistent. Watford are the form team in the division at the moment, I think. Have a look at that league.
Championship is hard. There are. This is hard. Sorry.
That's last 5 games.
Last 5 games. Oh, there we go. Matches played. So top last 5 games, the form team: Watford, Wrexham, Ipswich, Hull, and us. You see, we're 5th. That just shows how.
Well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty. 3 points for winning, not drawing.
Yeah,
it's not drawing.
Well,
games.
last 9 league games: won 4, lost 4, drawn 1. No point in drawing games. Just to wrap it up, Dave.
Remember the 5th goal? We haven't done it yet.
I'm coming. The 5th goal. And we talked about the intelligent cross that Borges put in, but that little pass into the channel that Earthy did. I mean, that was class as well, wasn't it?
It was rapid. It's Tanner interception into Earthy, slight jink, and get yourself in a bit of space, through ball, goal. And that's the kind of thing that makes you think, oh, Earthy could be really suited to the way Struber wants to play and the chaos theory, because the little bit of skill to engineer the space, and instantly it's happened in a flash of an eye. And Watford must be there thinking, well, we had the ball 10 seconds ago. That's the quality that Earthy could bring. And how can you not be excited by that? And after the Preston game, I was feeling a bit down. Yesterday as an overall game, including that 5th goal, made me feel like, you know what? There's no need to be so down. There are possibilities with this side.
Yeah. Paul, your thoughts on that goal? Icing on the cake, clipped finish by Reece. They were well beaten then, Watford. But the pass, you could do that in a more crucial game. And that was inch perfect, wasn't it? It made it a striker's delight, similar to Borges' cross.
Yeah, and I'm trying to start a pile on. It's the sort of pass I've been expecting Twine to do for 2 years, and he doesn't really do it. He doesn't seem to play that sort of little neat ball through. But I thought Earthy was just, very bright yesterday. Showed a lot about him. He's got really quick feet. I think that's what Struber will like. He's got that ability to get the ball out of his feet quickly. He showed it about pass. It was perfectly weighted, and a lovely finish from Reece. A really composed, nice finish. He could have blasted it. He could have tried to do something else, but he just finished it really, really beautifully.
Neil, Paul's alluded to that pass. These are the sort of passes we expected Twine to be doing more of, and I think Twine's got half a dozen assists or 5 assists already this season to add to his goal. So
he has. Again, there's that element with Twine of consistency and actually sort of doing it. Those sort of balls. The thing that struck me about Earthy a little bit was there were times last season where he broke through the line and he was that last man and he was sprinting and he wasn't the quickest when he's ran with the ball. I remember a few one-on-ones where he really sort of faded out or whatever like that, really. And I think yesterday, maybe he's just a little bit sharper. It's difficult because he's obviously shown something at West Ham. Up until last month or so, just in there under 21s, not doing anything. And, Nuno has brought him into the first team squad.
They've taken the year on option on his contract as well.
I think that's just to cover a transfer fee at the end of the day. I don't think he's got a future at West Ham necessarily, but you just give the option year because then someone has to pay.
We'd have to pay for him rather than pick him up as a free agent.
Rather than a free agent. But then I think, there's an element with him that he looked a little bit quicker over 4 or 5 yards yesterday. But let's be honest, he's come on, we're already winning the game. I'll make a judgment on him in the next 4 or 5 games.
Fair enough.
I think let's see against decent Championship or not. Watford would afford team, but that wasn't
a week in Watford and a cup game.
Let's see where we are with Earthy in 4 or 5 teams. I hope it's not the lazy recruitment. I mean, when it was announced, I thought it's Dean Holden all over again. You take 6 weeks to identify the assistant manager as a new manager type thing, and you've gone back to what you know. And there's the
But
interview.
he
there's
like
the stream-
Dean. He
there's-
like Dean is a decent human because he seems really a nice lad, does George.
But
He
there
seems
is,
really
there,
nice.
there is an element of that, and I'm not going to make a judgment on Earthy on the basis of last night. I'll wait for 4 or 5 days.
Okay, let's see how it goes. Well, look, that's the game done. We're in the draw for the 4th round. I mean, guys, what do we want in the next round? Not Grimsby away, for Christ's sake. Hard luck, Western. They came so close. Macclesfield away. Yeah, I think we probably do a bit better than Palace did yesterday. But it's just a home draw, which, as I said earlier, means that the game against Wrexham is got to be rearranged now.
The Macclesfield game, I watched it yesterday. Portishead Town played down the road. They put a new 4G in there at Portishead Town, and they've been flying through the leagues. And I've played on it a few times, and my team have trained on it, and it is slow. It is slow, and the ball doesn't travel very far, and you get used to playing on that 4G. When I was watching Palace yesterday, I think the bounce, the pace on the ball, and all the rest of it, I think Macclesfield, they're used to that pitch, whereas Palace were caught out in it. The way that they played and all the rest. Not saying that Macclesfield didn't deserve to win the game, because they did, but I don't know whether, if I was the Palace manager, I would have trained on 4Gs during the course of the week, and I would have said, right, okay, we're going to be playing on a 4G pitch. It's going to be very different to whatever you've played on normally, and rented out a few 4G pitches around the country to actually. It's massively different.
I thought you were saying
the ball holds up and it just doesn't flow across the pitch at all. And Portishead down the Rhine are going promotion. They're Southern League Division 1 now, and
the pitch is the difference.
Yeah, they chip it over the top and the ball sticks. And when you're hitting through the ball on a 4G, the ball sticks and it doesn't flow, and the bounce is different as well. So I think if we got Macclesfield, away, any team that gets Macclesfield away, for God's sake, do some training on a 4G pitch.
You'll be putting in a call to Gerhard to remind him to do that. No, I just hope we get a home draw. We all do that. I mean, look, it's the league that's important. And the league that's important and the window. So 2 topics before we wrap up. Let's look at the league games that are coming to us in January. I think that there's 4 of them. It's Oxford away, Ipswich away, Sheffield Wednesday at home, Derby County at home. Yeah. For me, we have to win as a minimum 2 of those, drawing 1 and losing 1. Very easy to predict what those games would be. You know, the lose one is Ipswich at Portman Road, and then you maybe win and draw one of the home games or draw away at Oxford. So I'm saying 7 is the bare minimum requirement. We've almost got to be getting, dare I say it, Dave, come to each of you, the next 4 games, 9 points if we're going to be serious contenders in the playoffs to make inroads. I don't know who we've got after Derby, by the way. Hull. Well, that's a tough game. Right? So let's ignore Hull away. Right. 4 league games, 9 points, Dave, minimum requirement. Maybe 8, but then that's not losing any.
I would say that the 8 points is the base camp. If you really want to make progression into the playoffs, and if you're looking higher, this is the base camp. Anything less, even 7 points, you're kind of treading water for where we are right now. We've got a bit of a ground to make up. And 8 points is okay. Anything higher than that is a bonus. If we win 3 and lose 1, we're sitting in a good place. But what I would say is 1 game at a time. And as enjoyable as yesterday was, it needs to be the same levels against Oxford. If it's a tough game and you come away and you've played well and you've got a point, okay, but that means you've got to win elsewhere. Yeah. Oxford away, ideally, it needs to be 3 points.
Okay. Sorry, you first, Neil. The next 4 games.
Oxford's a banana skin. They did a really good job on us down the gate. Matt Bloomfield's just gone in there as manager. It's going to be the new manager, first home game of the first league home game. There, that's banana skin. I can actually see us going to Ipswich. Ipswich are going to hate playing us because that's the type of real for all. The expectation. I think the top teams, they're like with Bristol City, which Bristol City we're going to actually face. I'd be really, really disappointed if we approach the Sheffield Wednesday and the Derby games at home like we've done Preston, Blackburn, QPR. if we drop points off those 2 home games, and really
We don't deserve it.
Then we don't deserve to be in the playoffs,
No.
quite frankly,
Well,
because we've already, the teams that we've lost to at home, are teams that really we should have performed better against.
Yeah.
Millwall, Preston, Blackburn, QPR. Come on.
No. Look, I mean, you can break it down into batches of 4 games. There's 5 batches of 4 to go, or 4 batches of 5. Simple facts are we sat there on 39 points. 73 points is the magic number this year, I think. Maybe 74. We've got to get 35 points from these 20 games that we've got left. Yeah, and 9 points would be absolutely fantastic to get that. Yeah. It makes a statement if we get 9, as Dave said. If we just get 7, I said 7. 7 is standing still. Let's let Paul back into the room. There we go.
You look at it. It's 10th place. There are teams above us. We're currently 2 points from the playoffs. If we were to lose to Oxford as an example, it's not impossible to believe all of a sudden we're 4 points from the playoffs, and then it starts to get harder and harder to pull that back. It's not impossible, as we showed last season, but we talk about last season as this incredible wild run. That doesn't happen every year.
Well, an incredible wild run, and 4 teams, well, certainly 3 that were pulling away from everybody. Paul, you're back in the room. We can't see you again, but we can certainly hear you if you speak. Next 4 games, 9 points would be great. 7 points would be mediocrity. Where do you see it? How do you see those points coming? Paul.
Paul is silent.
Paul is gone. He's
there, but he's gone.
He's there. He's not visible. He disappeared again. Tom Robbins said he thinks the playoffs were decided by the timing of the runs that teams go on. We were running out of time to have ours. That's good. Lee Churches says Sheffield United are coming up on the rails. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. There's so many teams. I think all places are up for grabs at the moment, to be honest.
I mean, from 10th down to Birmingham, in 14th, there is, a 5-point gap. So there's only the 5-point gap from 3rd to 10th is the same as the 5-point gap from 10th to 14th.
Yeah.
So it is segmented. Anybody that puts a run together can actually get in the playoffs this year, I think.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we put a run of, well, we can't because Ipswich is there. But losing to Preston put the pressure on just a little bit. Paul, your thoughts on the next 4 before we talk about the window as our final topic, but your thoughts on the next 4 games.
Yeah, sorry. Hopefully you can hear me. I've had a few technical gremlins, but I think in your question, Dave, you moved from 7 minimum to 8 to 9 very quickly as you were going through. But I think 7 is a bare minimum. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday should be a gimme. It really should be. Then it's a case of picking up a win against one of the others somewhere. I think I heard Dave say before. I think we've got a little bit of ground to make up. We're actually largely in a better position than we were this time last year in lots of ways, but we went on an incredible home run last year, which we probably can't replicate very, very easily. I think we've got to be looking at 8 or 9, and I'm not scared going to Ipswich. I think they're in and out. I think they've got some great players, but they aren't that consistent with it. Let's a win next Saturday, I think, is essential. I think we've got to really get that momentum building.
Right, well, the window, we're almost halfway through the window. Dave, the final question for each of you, really. Do you expect to see anybody going out, Dave? And to be quite honest, I don't see the point of bringing Burzog in. He's being widely mooted as the man. But looking at his career record and everything like that, I do not see him adding value. And maybe that's what Struber was alluding to when he said, I want players here, Gary Johnson-esque, I want players here that are committed to the Bristol City cause. But Dave, your thoughts on what's left of the window?
We need to bring in an additional centre forward, someone that can run the channels well. And if that's what Struber is saying, it's about him, that he wants people here that essentially represent the badge, then that's exactly the kind of words you want to hear from your manager. And to be honest, it's quite inspiring to the whole fan base, I would think. But whoever they bring in, at the moment, we are one short in attacking players, and that's the crucial part over the next few weeks.
But is Burzorg, if Daniel Burzorg's paraded in a bath like our new sponsors, Victorian Plumbing, were, if Daniel Burzorg is paraded as the signing on Monday, will you be excited?
I am conflicted, to be honest, because I understand why the optics are not good in Middlesbrough signing a player that we may have been in for, while we pick up a player that they don't want. And also hearing the phrase from Borough fans, if there's a player in there, I'm kind of a bit tired of there's a player in there. I want, here's the player. But at the same time, any player that comes in, it's a fresh start and you judge them from day one. Because at the end of the day, quite often when transfers are involved, it's usually somebody picking up a player that another player doesn't want, unless you're in the Premier League. So if he does come in, you judge him from day one.
All right, Neil, Burzorg, I mean, just talk about him individually before your other thoughts on the window. I mean, for every Borough fan that says there's a player in there somewhere, I've seen quite a few saying, joining the queue for, they'll drive him down here for us. And somebody said he's on 20 grand a week, which makes him one of the top paid player. He's not the bloody answer, is he? I mean, uninspiring. He couldn't be as bad as Loose Donny.
I've seen him play a number of times over the years. He's not a bad player. In relation to it, maybe looks better than at times than he actually is. He's not a centre forward. That's one thing.
Where does he play then?
Wide left. He plays in sort of a mimetic position, really. But then you brought Earthy in that position as well.
Well, Antoine and Morsy.
Yeah.
And what's happened was when Max Bird gets fit again.
Well, when Max, yeah. I get the feeling that he's done a couple of interviews, hasn't he? I know that whether we speak about it, Struber just after Radio Bristol yesterday, and then one to the media that is the video of, and then one on Radio Bristol. And he talks about the money coming in on all the rest of it. And I still believe that most of that is going to be in the summer, because you need to keep back the money for the summer to replace all the players going out the door on a free. You know, you need to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is we've got 5 or 6 first teamers in that squad leaving OOCs, and we'll need to keep back some money for that, or else we'll be caught short. But I get the feeling that he's spoken to a couple of strikers, and these strikers that are they're really super, super, super close. They're not decided on it. They're kind of, I'll get back to you. Or
well, they want to see what other options there are, don't they? Which is not a commitment to the club.
And listening to him, it was almost a little bit of, you know what, maybe we move on. So maybe Burzorg isn't going to happen now, in the sense that maybe his patience is like, well, I'm sorry, you've messed us around for a week or two now in relation to it. If you're not fully committed to this, I'm not really interested. So maybe there will be a little bit of a delay with this. Maybe we're back to a little, not square one, because we'll, like anything, we'll have 2 or 3 different options. But I got the feeling from his interviews that the negotiations with the person that he thought was going to come in as a striker haven't panned out the way that he would have hoped. And he's just like, well, stuff you then, we go elsewhere.
Okay. Paul, Burzorg, he's not the answer really, is he? And where does he fit in? If he's not better than what we've got, purchase or loan even at that money.
He doesn't appear to be on his statistics. As Neil said, I've seen him play a little bit. He's okay. I think what we've got to be aware of is there's still other moving parts. We don't know if Mehmeti will still be here at the end of the window. We don't actually really know if Sinclair Armstrong will be here at the end of the window. If a bid was seriously coming in for him from Turkey in August and it comes back in now, will we look to recoup some cash? And then if he does go, is it then Burzorg plus another potentially? Is it two we need to bring in? Because we need one at the moment. So I think there's a lot of moving parts still. I saw some comments about Earthy and Mehmeti earlier. Maybe it is a bit of cover just in case, but then everyone was saying that about Adam Randall in the summer and wondering why we signed a night replacement, and look how that's panned out. So, and I would say that about Burzorg as well. Randall wasn't expected to come in and be a first team player. Neto Borges was out of favour at Middlesbrough. People weren't that keen on him. Just because a player hasn't worked out somewhere under one manager or one type of system, it doesn't mean they won't work out somewhere else. But as Dave said, the optics are not great. His goal scoring record is sketchy at best, and it isn't a signing that's going to excite the fan base. Not that that's the primary reason for making a signing, but it does help with a vibe. And you saw about George Earthy yesterday. For all the mayors and the naysayers like myself, maybe there was a big ovation when he came on, and a whole load of positivity around the ground as soon as he started to warm up. So it does help.
Yeah. Do you think one of our rivals, Paul, might come in with a cheeky offer from Mehmeti, and if somebody offers $1 million, they could say, look, $1.5 million for Mehmeti, and we'll let you have Borzog on loan to the end of the season, and we'll pay his wages.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know if Borough need him or where they want him, but they certainly would welcome his firepower, I think. Yeah, I think there's a lot to go. It's such a shame Fally got injured, because I think we would have been trying to ship him out immediately now, and then that frees up a wage and a space. And I think it's a big decision for the club. Do we almost write him off as a wage and a spot in the squad, and just go and get another forward option anyway? Because like you, which I'm sure you talked about quite a lot, Struber clearly doesn't want to play him, so we may as well almost write off his space in the squad and bring someone else in over top if he's going to not be played anyway. We want someone who Struber's got confidence in, and who Struber wants to bring on and have as a serious option.
Final comment from you, Paul, just picking up on what somebody's put on the text feed here. Mad how Wells is doing well at Luton. Do you think it was folly to let Naki go, because he'd have been that extra player to float around?
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't know he was doing particularly well at Luton. He may well be. It was, but again, it's like we said about planning for the summer. We had 5 strikers on the books, and he was the only one we could guarantee wasn't going to be here on September the 1st. And from a pure budget and a wage point of view, I think we had little choice, unfortunately. We got ourselves in a position with Armstrong and Miulu and Cornick to an extent where we've been left short. But you can't just keep every player on and keep every wage in the budget.
Collecting players. Yeah, Tom Robbins said, I don't like being a club that Borough offload players to and we sell ours to. It doesn't set the right optics, does it? That's almost, as I said to somebody the other day, who'd have thought 12 years ago we'd be a feeder club for Bournemouth. There we go. All right, guys. I think we're done for this week. We'll be reviewing Oxford away at 9:00 next Sunday morning. Senior Reds lunch this week. The speaker is Mark Kelly, and he's going to give.
So not Ian Gay.
No, but Mark Kelly will be addressing the Senior Reds lunch on the latest on the sporting quarter. So we'll give some feedback on that. I won't be doing the Q&A myself. I will be there, but he's quite a good speaker in his own right, Mark Kelly. And we're feeling chipper, aren't we, Dave? Yeah. Final thoughts from you today, going into the week. You'll be rooted to the television for the draw tomorrow night, won't you?
It would be nice to, something like an Everton away. I mean, I probably won't get to go myself, but there are some. You either want a very, very big side away from home, or you want the worst side in the draw at home. Or you get a big day out. You pick the way. In terms of the league, yeah, I'm still positive. I know we have ground to make up, and it can change quite quickly. With watching City, your emotions can go everywhere very quickly, and you try not to be knee-jerk, but it's what they do to you. They can't help it.
No,
but as of today, yeah, I feel in quite a positive place, to be honest.
Yeah, no, we're all feeling positive. Paul, great to have you on. Have you on certainly again between now and the end of the season. I know you're a busy chap in general. Yeah, and Neil, good to have you alongside me here today. The Proclaimers Tribute Act is alive and well in 2026. I celebrate my what is it? How many years? Oh, this was my 59th FA Cup third round yesterday, and I tweeted the magic of the cup has gone, but it's back. It's the league that's the important thing, though.
It's decent crowd yesterday.
I want a bad crowd, and I thought I thought the referee he lost it a bit towards the end, but I thought Tom Reeves, referee, did a decent enough job as well. Anyway, we are done. Everybody who's watched us live, thanks for that. And if you listen to us during the week or watch on YouTube during the week, hope you enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed doing it. All the best, everybody.